Okay, it is midnight and I've been working all day, but this has really been on my mind and I just want to make a video about it. I've been thinking a lot about teaching and what makes a good teacher and what makes a prepared teacher. The other day I was doing an interview with a woman who was asking me all sorts of questions about how I discerned my calling as a teacher and how I prepared for teaching, what sort of training I did, what sort of skills I thought were important. And as I go year by year as an educator, I meet more and more students who come back to me after graduation or maybe even before graduation. They say, Mr. Campbell, I've decided that I'm going to be a teacher. Of course, the best is those that say they want to be a history teacher. I love that so much. But I wanted to talk about the experiences that I had that I thought were very helpful for me going into education. Not because I think anyone needs to mimic the path that I took. It's not like I just started teaching one day. There was a whole lot of things that happened leading up to me becoming an educator, and then a whole lot of learning that continued to happen and continues to happen year by year as I continue in my teaching career. First, I want to talk about academic preparedness, which is like, do you need to take any classes in education to be a teacher? Now, I'm on the fence about this because on the one hand, there's a big difference between knowing your content area and being able to communicate it effectively. Have you ever had a teacher who you just know is brilliant about their subject area? Like maybe they're just super intelligent about math or their most profound philosophy instructor, or they're brilliant about science, but they just can't communicate it in the classroom. You know they're smart, you know they know their stuff, but when they get in front of the classroom, they just flop, they just flounder, they're dull, they're boring. Or sometimes they can't control the class, like the poor kids just run roughshod over them and tear them apart. The poor teacher doesn't know how to keep the class under control. I think we've all had those experiences. I certainly had those experiences. So there's a difference between knowing your stuff and being able to teach well. Teaching and knowing your subject matter are two different skill sets. And I think this is where formal education training does come in handy. Many of you might not know, I mean, I studied history. I got a bachelor's degree with a major in history at Ave Maria, but I went back to college after that to Madonna University to study just education. I spent 5 years studying education. I studied everything to do with education. I mean, like cognitive development, child psychology, curriculum development, special education, classroom management. And that's where I think that stuff is very helpful. Because teaching, part of it is intuitive. You know, part of it is kind of like there's kind of like an entertainment aspect to it. You just got to get into the feel, into the energy. You got to be in the right frame of mind. But a lot of it, there's strategy to it. There's skills. There's best practices that you can learn. And I think if you study education formally, that stuff really, really helps. Now, is it worth like a $40,000 college program? I don't know. That's for you to discern. But it's definitely worth putting intentional study into. You know, get resources, read books, watch videos about the art of education, and most importantly, probably talk to experienced, successful educators that you respect. Okay, the second thing I would say is like getting some real world experience. Before I ever was a full-time teacher, I kind of like dipped my feet into teaching in many different roles. I was a catechist at my church. Then I was a youth group leader for 3.5 years. I taught a writing class 1 day a week at my local co-op. Of course, preparing for my education program at Madonna University, I had to do student teaching for a semester. I had to do all sorts of internships. I even went down to the inner city to tutor disadvantaged children how to read. So I had all sorts of kind of experiences where I was dipping my feet in the waters of education. A teacher teaches. So if you want to be teaching, you need to find teaching experiences. And they might not be exactly what you want at first. I mean, I'll be honest, I did not want to go down to the inner city to tutor disadvantaged children at reading. It was difficult, it was challenging, but did it help me learn? Yes. Did it build my character? Yes. Did it make me a better educator? I think it did. If there's an opportunity, maybe you're not thrilled about teaching that first grade VBS class at your school this summer, but go ahead and do it. Sign up to teach religious education. Get involved wherever you can, wherever there is a need for education, just try to get in there. All that experience helps. Getting in front of people helps. The third thing I'd say is like I don't know, explain it, like a mental preparedness. One reason why I wanted to go into education was because I just felt the need to communicate the things that I was learning to other people. They were so interesting to me that I wanted other people to know. And I think that's what makes a really effective teacher, is when it's not like they're up there like, all right, you guys are here. I just got to regurgitate the knowledge for you to take your notes and pass your test. No, it's like, it's almost like they love the subject matter so much it's just bubbling up out of them. And you're just blessed that you get to sit there and watch them bubble. You get to watch them overflow, and you just kind of take it in. I think that's what makes the best teaching experiences. So number one, I'd say you should not only have a love for your subject matter, but you should have like an innate, deep-seated need to communicate that you just want to get. You want to tell everybody how awesome your subject matter is. You should be in love with it. Teaching is a passion. I'm going to say it again. You should be just in love with your subject matter. And where you just, think about when people are when they're in love. They just want to talk about that person, talk about how great they are. They just want to eulogize them. That's how you got to be with your subject matter. Oh, math. I just can't stop talking about math. So much that you got to just spend your life educating people about it. So be in love with your subject matter and want to communicate that. People will say to me sometimes like, I don't know if I can do it because I'm an introvert, or I'm shy or something. I'm an introvert too. Like, I was very introverted. I was very shy in high school. But just because you're an introvert doesn't mean you can't do this. In fact, I think maybe introverts might be able to do this very well. If you're an introvert, you draw your energy from your own interior life, right? You recharge, you connect with things by withdrawing into yourself. So that means that your energy is inside yourself, right? And if you can reach down into there, pull that out, and draw upon it when you get in front of the class, I think you'll find it is it'll do wonders for you. Like, there is an entertainment value to this as well. I often tell people that education is part entertainment. You are an entertainer. Just like an entertainer goes on stage and something turns on and they start doing their act, right? When I get in front of a classroom, I start doing my act. Something turns on and I get into that education mode. And it's not an act in the sense that it's made up or pretend, but it's an act in the sense that I understand that I have an audience that I have to engage with. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much history I know if I haven't engaged with that audience and they take away something meaningful from my lecture. So yeah, you have to have your mind in the right spot. You have to be like, I'm going on stage to do my thing. The show must go on, and I'm going to do my best. I'm going to just communicate what I love to these people, and they can just watch me and just take away whatever they take away from it. If you're doing it right, and if you're really in love with your subject matter, and if you put all the pieces together, it should come together for you, and their mind should light up. So those are your three aspects of preparedness: your academic preparedness, trying to get some real world experience, and then just getting your mind in the right place. And I would also say about education, it is very, very rewarding. It's rewarding when you are teaching kids and you just see them get it. When they love it as much as you love it. When you're on fire about something and then they become on fire about it. That is like, wow, that is chef's kiss right there. Oh man, and then when they come back and say that you inspired them and they want to be a teacher and they want to teach in your subject area, that's like winning the teacher lotto right there. So I don't know, this is just a late night ramble. It's like 12:28 a.m. I need to go to bed, but I just had to get that out. I had to communicate it. Let me know, what do you think? Any comments, any reflections? Leave them down below, and I'll see you next time.